Welcome back to the channel, folks. If you're new to the channel, my name's Brad and I'm out here on our 20 acres in Northwest Florida that we bought 5 years ago to turn into our forever homestead. We've made a lot of progress, but we still got a lot more to go. So if you're into tractors, excavators, building, and just general turning raw land into a workable homestead, this may be the channel for you. So please consider subscribing. But what we got in store for you today is on this house that we built behind me for my parents, there's still a lot of work left to do. They're in there and they're living in there. They're enjoying their new house, but we still have a lot more finishing touches to do. So back here behind the house, we need to pour some concrete for a patio. We have some concrete we have to pour in the front of the house. And we also have to put in a driveway. So going up this hill behind me and coming down, we need to put in 240 feet of driveway. But what I want to get done before the driveway is put in is I want to clean up the end of this house and do some sort of hardscape. So we got grass planted right up to the house. It just really doesn't look good. The vines and stuff tend to want to grow on top of the HVAC here. So I want to create kind of like a basin here, but not a basin to catch water as much as a basin to deflect water. You can see the basins I put in there to catch water, but I want to take that same concept and put railroad ties along here and create like a 3-foot wide basin, an area that just kind of keeps weeds and grass from growing next to the house, and then it diverts water, so when the water hits the railroad ties, it'll go left or right. And also I want to put a drainage inside of that basin so that when it catches water, I can shoot it out next to the patio over here. But I want to run about 3 feet, I guess, or so coming out from the house, run railroad ties along here so that when water comes down this hill, instead of going up against the house and then going left or right, it'll fall into some drainage pipe that I'll have come out right about here. And when the patio meets the driveway, I'll just put a pipe underneath the driveway where it meets the patio and put that water out there where it's lower. You can see the mega shed is easily 3 foot above grade on this end if it's not 4 foot. And that's just the way you got to build on a slope. You got to build one end up higher than the other end. And that's all we're doing here is this end of the house is higher than the back end of the house. We just want to push that water left or right. So I'm all suited up and ready to tackle this. I got the tractor out. First thing I'm going to do is just kind of take the back of the blade and just scrape off this grass here. Kind of scrape that backwards. I know that everything is buried deep enough. I'm not going to hit any of the utilities. And just kind of see what I'm working with here. It's funny how taking the tractor and just scraping off that grass and then leveling that dirt a little bit kind of changes the way that this looks in just a couple minutes, but it also gives me a better idea of how I want to approach this. And that idea that I had of creating that box with the railroad ties is going to work real good, but I can start to see it happening already. So one thing you may have noticed when I was backblading that is that this ground is very hard. We haven't had rain in several weeks. It's real dry out here. Got a high clay content. Plus that clay there is from building the house. The house is built on some clay they brought in. So I'm gonna get the excavator. If I can get a lot of that digging done with the excavator, that'll save me from digging, and hopefully I can finish this project today. Before I got the excavator, I hand dug this to kind of remind myself how I laid this water pipe. And I left myself a little stub to go that way into the front yard of the house to bring a water hydrant out there. So I just took a shovel and uncovered that. Let's take a look at that. So that's the water valve that goes into the house that comes from the well. And then after the valve, I put this stub out, and I'll take that 1 inch and I'll take it down here. I'll dig a trench and put it out there. I'll just stub it out there behind me, and that way it'll be out there where I can put a hydrant in it later. For now, I just want to focus on this hardscape that I want to put in. So if you're not a regular watcher of the channel, we bought an excavator last year and I absolutely love it. It's a Kubota KX71-3. And this is a prime example of when you need an excavator, but you only need it for a couple hours. You don't want to go out and rent one. So having one, owning one, just pays off huge in little jobs like this. But by finding that line that I stubbed out, I'm going to take the excavator and dig that way, 20, 30 feet, and put down 1 inch of PVC pipe. It's not a zero-turn excavator, so I got to be careful next to the house. And by it's not a zero-turn, I mean, when I turn the excavator, it goes over the tracks and it could hit the side of the house. I got to be real careful here when I'm swinging, and also I got to watch the soffit and the fascia. And also, this would be a good time to click that like button if you like the video so far. Once again, Precious saves the day. There's no way I would have been able to dig that with a shovel. That stuff is so packed, not only from just being clay, but the fact that they packed that with a vibration packer or whatever they use during construction. They ran over it with a skid steer, and I've ran over it many times with the tractor and excavator, and it's real dry. So that stuff is like concrete, but that KX71, Precious as we call her out here, made quick work of that job. All right, I did a little hand digging, and I got about 20 feet of pipe in, so I got the pipe extended to the corner of the house. And I also put some river rock around the main valve coming into the house, just so it doesn't get covered with dirt, and you always know where that valve is. So I coupled in down there with 10 feet of PVC, and then about 7 or 8 more feet. It wasn't quite 20 feet. And then at the end, I just reused the plug that I had and put a coupler on it. Now that I have the water line out past the corner of the house where I want to put that hardscape, I can now put a spigot, or I can put a hydrant out here, or take water lines for irrigation or whatever going that way. That's all set for the future, so now I'll just backfill this trench and then kind of figure out how I want to slope away from the house. I would have liked to have done more with Precious, but I didn't want to get too close to the house. I don't want to hit the house, break the window, mess with the siding. And also the septic tank is here and the drain field starts there. So I don't want to get that 6,000 pound machine over top of that. So I'm just going to do a lot of this by hand or bring the lighter Kubota tractor over top of it. That weighs about half as much as the excavator. Okay, I think I got it figured out. I got flags out here at 5 foot, so I'm gonna come out 5 foot and then butt up against that railroad ties that go this way. And that'll put a railroad tie all the way along here. I got a septic clean out right there, so I'm gonna have to notch the railroad tie, but I'll have about 5 inches or so to run a drain pipe next to the railroad tie. And I'll just keep running that. So I'll just take the excavator, try to make like a 9-inch wide trench for the railroad tie all the way down here. Then we'll box it in with a 5 foot piece of railroad tie. I'll take the excavator as I go and kind of loosen this up in here a little bit so that I can slope it from the house that way. I'll put a drain pipe on this side and run it right down there across where the eventual driveway will be. Don't think I'll get all this done today. This is probably a 2-day project. Because there's water, sewage, and electrical. Now the electrical is 3 feet deep, if not 40 inches. And I know where the water lines are because I did them. And then I was here when the septic was put in, but I don't want to take any chances. I don't have time to fix any of that stuff. So I just took the teeth of the excavator and busted through this clay that was brought in to build this house. That clay was so tough that when the excavator was pulling the teeth through, it was actually lifting the excavator off the ground, and that's a 6,000 pound machine. There's still a lot of shovel work to do, but I elected to do that rather than possibly hit that line, and then that would have set me back a good day or so. So I'd rather shovel a little bit than fix water lines or electrical lines. All right, guys, this is where we're at. I got about 18 inches or so here. I'm going to use my digging tool to knock out this clay. I've actually been on and off the excavator. Brought the excavator around this side of the house, redug this. I thought I could do it all by shovel, all by hand, but it was just too much. I just couldn't bust through it. So I got the trench pretty much dug. I'm gonna dig out this little piece here and then call it a day. I think that's just about got it. Good enough for today. I'll tackle it tomorrow and get it all level. Throughout the build process, I came out here with my excavator, with buckets, with the tractor, and cleaned up a lot of the concrete slop, you know, where the concrete truck overfilled something or they were sloppy grading off the concrete. and there's still chunks of concrete. And I try to get most of that up because when you're landscaping, you'll run into them. And I've seen that over several houses that I've done landscaping on. But even the best of intentions, and you still get chunks of concrete. All right, here's what we've got. Hopefully you can see it in the background. But we dug out 5 feet. Then we got the trench going here for the long railroad ties all the way to the end. I think the house is 32 foot long, so we'll need probably 4 railroad ties going that way. It's overdug, and let me tell you why it's overdug. So if you see this area right here, the septic tank was put where that white flag is. So the septic tank is a square right there. And when they backbladed with the excavator that they used to put the septic tank in, they didn't really grade this well. They kind of left a hump here, so it's high here, then it's low to the house. And what they should have done, or what I should have done after they were gone, was slope it better and take this hump out. But because there's a hump here, what I'm gonna have to do is set this railroad tie in this high area first, and then probably come in here with the excavator and grade that so that the dirt isn't higher than the railroad tie, because all the railroad ties have to be level going all the way across. So the plan is come out there 5 foot, come down here, and then put railroad ties all the way here. And then if I have to, take this dirt and dig this out. All of this open space here, we'll put some kind of cloth, and then we'll put river rock. And what we want is it to slope from the house back towards this trench I dug. We never get as much done as we want to out here. I would have loved to have knocked this out in one day, but that didn't happen. So please stay tuned for part 2 of this video, which will be coming up soon, where I finish this up and then we put river rock in there and get it looking good. We'll hopefully get it functional and looking good. But otherwise, that's all I've got for today. If you enjoyed today's video, please click that like button. That's a big thumb down below. Comment down below as well. We'd love to hear from you. But otherwise, that's all I've got. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care out there, y'all.